Hello, I'm Shabana and I'm one of the co-founders of the only boarding school in Afghanistan. I'm constantly amazed by the resolve of the girls who apply to our school. For example, just last month, I had to turn down an applicant because I felt she wasn't the right fit. A week later, when I walked into my office, there she was, 12 years old, dressed in light blue shalwar kameez with matching headscarf and sandals, waiting with her father beside her. She stood up, shook my hands firmly, and said, "Hi, I'm Sana." Of course, I had to interview her. Among the things that I asked her, I said, "Pretend I'm the president of Afghanistan, and I offer you a job as a minister. What ministry would you choose?" Sana didn't miss a beat. "I will choose the Ministry of Defense because I want to bring peace and security to Afghanistan." Being a general's daughter, I couldn't help but to think about my own life when I was roughly Sana's age. One morning, when I was 11 years old, I remember waking up to the sound of joy in my house. It was 7 a.m., and my father was listening to BBC News with a big grin on his face. That was extremely unusual in my family during the Taliban regime, because I had always seen my father depressed when he would listen to the news. But that morning, he was happy. So I asked what was happening, and he said, "The Taliban are gone." I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "They're no longer in charge of Afghanistan." My mom shouted, "You can go to a real school now. You don't have to go to that secret school anymore." I will never forget that morning. I was 6 years old when Taliban took over Afghanistan, and they made it illegal for girls to go to school. Because education was important in my family, so for the next 5 years, I dressed as a boy to escort my sister, who was no longer allowed to be outside alone, to a secret school. That way, we both could be educated. We walked an hour to the school, each day taking a different route so that no one would suspect where we were going. We would even cover our books in grocery bags, pretending we were out shopping. The secret school was in a private living room, run by a woman who had been a high school principal before the Taliban. There were more than 100 of us packed in that one small living room. It was cozy in the winter, but unbearably hot in the summertime. We were all aware that we were risking our lives, the teachers, the students, and our parents. We, the students, would leave and arrive in different times to minimize suspicion. Every once in a while, the school would be canceled because Taliban were suspicious. We all wondered what they knew about us. Were we being followed? And do they know where we live? And in my case, what if they knew about my father's previous job with the government? We were always scared, but that one thing we still wanted to be in that school. I want to tell you about my parents, because I believe they are really incredible people. Prior to the Taliban, my mom was a teacher, and my father was a general in the army. Now, under the Taliban, they were jobless, and my father was literally in hiding. This is him. At times, I got frustrated by our life and always being scared and not seeing a future. I would want to quit. And my father would say, "Listen, my daughter, you can lose everything in your life that you own. Your money can be stolen. You can be forced to leave your house during a war. But the one thing that will always remain with you is what is in here. Your education is the biggest investment in your life. Don't ever regret it. And besides, if we have to sell our blood to pay your school fees, we will. So do you still not want to continue? My father was the first man in his family to receive an education. And my mom was the first female in her family to go to school. My mom retired from her teaching job 2 years ago, only to then turn our house into a school for the girls and women in our neighborhood. That's my mom. You can never stop her. Today, I am 22 years old. I was born and raised in Afghanistan, a country that has been destroyed by years of war that well exceeds my age. Fewer than 6% of women my age in Afghanistan have made it beyond high school. When I went to a public school for the first time in my life after the fall of Taliban, 95% of my classmates were 6 years older than I was, because they have been kept out of school for all those years. Had my parents not been so committed to my education, today at 22, I would be a sophomore in high school, if I were lucky. But today, I'm a proud graduate of Middlebury College. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. The village that raised me and invested in my education was created when my grandfather insisted on sending my mom to school. And when my father was sent to school and then saw the value in marrying an educated woman, my mother. And my village is strengthened when my parents made my education possible. I've come to realize something about Afghanistan, and this is something that is often dismissed in the West, that behind every successful woman, there's always a father who recognized the value in his daughter. As in my case, I dream big, but my father, he dreams bigger for me. And that's what I saw that day in my office. I saw a man dreaming big for his daughter. Now, can you imagine the kind of Afghanistan that a 6-year-old Shabana would be raised in if girls like Sana can grow up to be the ministers of defense? That's why I am back in Afghanistan. Yesterday, when the 14-year-old Pakistani girl who advocates for a girl's education was shot by the Pakistani Taliban, my sister reminded me that it takes only a single bullet to get rid of women like me. But I've been given this education, the opportunity to receive an education. I'm back in Afghanistan because I want to give that opportunity to other girls in a country where there is still a lot of risk involved for girls to go to school. As in my father's words, I'm not embracing risk by doing what I do. I'm fighting it. Thank you.